Hello, my name is Pastor Kris Kollar. I'm the pastor of Pleasant Valley Lutheran Church near Malabar Farm and St. Paul Lutheran Church in Lucas, Ohio. Greetings. We are reading through the Bible with commentary, and we are almost to the end of the fifth book of the Bible, Deuteronomy, which is also the fifth book of Torah, the law. And Deuteronomy really sums up the entire law, the history of Israel to that point. They are perched on the edge of the promised land, about to go into the promised land, and Moses is giving them their marching orders, their last instructions, and reminders. In the last couple of days, we've heard blessings and curses. If they keep the law, they'll be blessed, and if they fail to keep the law, they will be cursed and dispersed to all the nations, but God will remember them. If they remember God, God will remember them and bring them back, which of course is what eventually did happen to the Israelites. And before he goes, he teaches them a song. So the entire next chapter or two are basically written in poetic format. And of course, this is a translation from ancient Hebrew Aramaic to English. So it's not going to rhyme and it's not going to have the same rhythm, but it is written like poetical form. So I'm going to hear a song because, of course, what is the best way to remember things? You might not remember everything that you heard yesterday, but you hear a song on the radio from 30 years ago and you can start singing along and you know all the words. So the idea is that a song is a really good way to remember things. And so they're told, the Israelites we read yesterday are to read the law every 7 years so that people will hear it and know this is how we're supposed to live. But then also with the song, it will help them to remember that they are to remember God and not be chasing after other gods. Because, of course, the number one, love the Lord your God. Number two, love other people. The 10 commandments or 10 words. And then we have the minutia. But really the biggest one is to love God and not chase after other gods. So, chapter 32. Actually, I'm going to start in chapter 31, verse 30. One verse. Then Moses recited the words of the song to the very end in the hearing of the whole assembly of Israel. Chapter 32. Give ear, O heavens, and I will speak. Let the earth hear the words of my mouth. May my teaching drop like rain, my speech condense like the dew, like gentle rain on grass, like showers on new growth. For I will proclaim the name of the Lord, ascribe greatness to our God. The rock, his work is perfect, and all his ways are just, a faithful God without deceit. Just and upright is he, yet his degenerate children have dealt falsely with him, a perverse and crooked generation. Do you thus repay the Lord, O foolish and senseless people? Is not he your father, who created you, who made you, and established you? Remember the days of old, consider the years long past. Ask your father, and he will inform you, your elders, and they will tell you. When the Most High apportioned the nations, when he divided humankind, he fixed the boundaries of the peoples according to the number of the gods. The Lord's own portion was his people, Jacob his allotted share. He sustained him in a desert land and a howling wilderness waste. He shielded him, cared for him, guarded him as the apple of his eyes. All of this talk of Jacob, they're really referring to the nation of Israel. And as an eagle stirs up its nest and hovers over its young, as it spreads its wings and takes them up and bears them aloft on its pinions, the Lord alone guided him. No foreign god was with him. He set him atop the heights of the land and fed him with the produce of the field. He nursed him with honey from the crags, with oil from the flinty rock, curds from the herd, and milk from the flock, with fat of lambs and rams, Bashan, bulls, and goats, together with the choicest wheat. You drank fine wine from the blood of grapes. Jacob ate his fill. Jeshurun grew fat and kicked. You grew fat, bloated, and gorged. I have a footnote on ate his fill. There's different manuscripts, and one of the oldest manuscripts doesn't include that verse. Jacob ate his fill. Jeshurun grew fat and kicked. You grew fat, bloated, and gorged. He abandoned God who made him, and scoffed at the rock of his salvation. They made him jealous with strange gods. With abhorrent things they provoked him. They sacrificed to demons, not God, to deities they had never known, to new ones recently arrived, whom your ancestors had not feared. You were unmindful of the rock that bore you. You forgot the God who gave you birth. So he has started out with heavens and earth, because he's basically calling witnesses to this, and then he's reminding the people that God was very generous and brought them and fed them and took care of them, and then they worshipped other gods. Verse 19, the Lord saw it and was jealous. He spurned his sons and daughters. He said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end will be. For they are a perverse generation, children in whom there is no faithfulness. They made me jealous with what is no God, provoked me with their idols. So I will make them jealous with what is no people, provoke them with a foolish nation. For a fire is kindled by my anger, and burns to the depths of Sheol. It devours the earth and its increase, and sets on fire the foundations of the mountains. This is God being angry. I forgot to turn the light on because it was so bright in here. I will heap disasters upon them, spend my arrows against them, wasting hunger, burning consumption, bitter pestilence. The teeth of beasts I will send against them, with venom of things crawling in the dust. In the street the sword I will bereave, and in the chambers terror for young man and woman alike, nursing child and old gray head. I thought to scatter them and blot out the memory of them from humankind. But I feared provocation by the enemy, for their adversaries might misunderstand and say, our hand is triumphant. It was not the Lord who did this. So this is about the Lord getting angry and saying that he was going to be very angry and wanted to mistreat them. I'm trying to turn on the light. It's not working. I'm going to have to stand up. There it goes. But he almost destroyed them, but he decided not to, because he thought if he did, the adversaries, the enemies, would say, oh, we destroyed these people. Verse 28, they are a nation void of sense. There is no understanding in them. If they were wise, they would understand this. They would discern what the end would be. How could one have routed 1,000, and 2 put a myriad to flight, unless their rock had sold them, the Lord had given them up? Indeed, their rock is not like our rock. Our enemies are fools. Their vine comes from the vinestock of Sodom, from the vineyards of Gomorrah. Their grapes are grapes of poison. Their clusters are bitter. Their wine is the poison of serpents, the cruel venom of asps. So our enemies are not like us, and they come from an evil place. Verse 34, is not this laid up in store with me, sealed up in my treasuries? Vengeance is mine, and recompense for the time when their foot shall slip. Because the day of their calamity is at hand, their doom comes swiftly. Verse 36, indeed the Lord will vindicate his people, have compassion on his servants, when he sees that their power is gone, neither bond nor free remaining. Then he will say, where are their gods, the rock in which they took refuge, who ate the fat of their sacrifices and drank the wine of their libations? Let them rise up and help you. Let them be your protection. Verse 39, see now that I, even I, am he. There is no God besides me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal, and no one can deliver from my hand. For I lift up my hand to heaven and swear, as I live forever, when I whet my flashing sword, and my hand takes hold on judgment, I will take vengeance on my adversaries. I will repay those who hate me. I will make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh, with the blood of the slain and the captives from the long-haired enemy. So God is saying, I'm God, and I'm the one that makes people dead, makes people live, and I will take vengeance on my enemies. Verse 43, praise, O heavens, his people, worship him, all you gods, for he will avenge the blood of his children, and take vengeance on his adversaries. He will repay those who hate him, and cleanse the land for his people. Verse 44, Moses came and recited all the words of this song in the hearing of the people, he and Joshua son of Nun, which is, by the way, spelled N-U-N. When Moses had finished reciting all of the words to all Israel, he said to them, "Take to heart all the words that I'm giving in witness against you today. Give them as a command to your children, so that they may diligently observe all the words of this law. This is no trifling matter for you, but rather your very life, though through it you may live long in the land that you are crossing over the Jordan to possess." So Moses is reminding them once again, here's the law, here's the song, remember all of this. If you don't, it's going to be bad. Verse 48. On that very day, the Lord addressed Moses as follows: "Ascend this mountain of the Abiram, Mount Nebo, which is in the land of Moab, across from the Jericho, the view of the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the Israelites for a possession. You shall die there on the mountain that you ascend, and shall be gathered to your kin, as your brother Aaron died on Mount Hor, and was gathered to his kin. Because both of you broke faith with me among the Israelites at the waters of Meribah Kadesh in the wilderness of Zin, by failing to maintain my holiness among the Israelites. Although you may view the land from a distance, you shall not enter it, the land that I am giving to the Israelites." So it's a little fuzzy about what exactly happened, but somehow Moses was told by God to speak to the rock, and Moses came in anger and struck the rock, which still produced water for the Israelites. But it wasn't a good look for God. God was not happy. Moses does not get to enter the land. And Moses then still remains the great Moses. Chapter 33. This is the blessing with which Moses, the man of God, blessed the Israelites before his death. He said, and once again we have poetical form, "The Lord came from Sinai and dawned from Seir upon us. He shone forth from Mount Paran. With him were myriads of holy ones, at his right a host of his own. Indeed, O favored among peoples, all his holy ones were in your charge. They marched at your heels, accepted direction from you. Moses charged us with the law, as a possession for the assembly of Jacob. There arose a king in Jeshurun, when the leaders of the people assembled, the united tribes of Israel. May Reuben live and not die out, even though his numbers are few." Reuben is the oldest. Reuben gets listed first. "And this he said of Judah, O Lord, give heed to Judah, and bring him to his people. Strengthen his hands for him, and be a help against his adversaries." And of course, each of these sons of Jacob, or Israel, are now a tribe of thousands of people. "And of Levi, he said, give to Levi your Thummim and your Urim, to your loyal one, whom you tested at Massah, whom you contended at the waters of Meribah, who said of his father and mother, I regard them not. He ignored his kin, and did not acknowledge his children. For they observed your word and kept your covenant. They teach Jacob your ordinances, and Israel your law. They place incense before you, and whole burnt offerings on your altar. Bless, O Lord, his substance, and accept the work of his hands. Crush the loins of his adversaries, of those that hate him, so that they do not rise again." So the tribe of Levi, of course, are the priests, and the Thummim and the Urim that he refers to are somehow used for casting lots, for whether it's like throwing dice or picking the short straw, but somehow they're used to determine what God's will is. So the tribe of Levi, the priests, get the Urim and the Thummim, and when many of the Israelites were not following God, they were zealous for God and actually killed their own family. "Of Benjamin, he said, the beloved of the Lord rests in safety. The high God surrounds him all day long. The beloved rests between his shoulders. And of Joseph, he said, blessed by the Lord be his land, with the choice gifts of heaven above, and the deep that lies beneath, with the choice fruits of the sun, and the rich yield of the months, with the finest produce of the ancient mountains, and the abundance of the everlasting hills, with the choice gifts of the earth and its fullness, and the favor of one who dwells on Sinai. Let these come on the head of Joseph, on the brow of the prince among his brothers. A firstborn bull, majesty is his. His horns are the horns of a wild ox, and with them he gores the peoples, driving them to the ends of the earth. Such are the myriads of Ephraim, such are the thousands of Manasseh, because of course, Joseph has two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. Manasseh chose to live east of the Jordan River, so they are sometimes referred to as the half-tribe of Manasseh and Ephraim, both sons of Joseph. And of Zebulun he said, Rejoice, Zebulun, in your going out, and Issachar in your tents. They call peoples to the mountain. There they offer the right sacrifices, for they suck the affluence of the seas and the hidden treasures of the sand. And of Gad he said, Blessed be the enlargement of Gad. Gad lives like a lion. He tears at arm and scalp. He chose the best for himself, for there a commander's allotment was reserved. He came at the head of the people. He executed the justice of the Lord and his ordinances for Israel. Of Dan he said, Dan is a lion's whelp that leaps forth from Bashan. Of Naphtali he said, Of Naphtali, sated with favor, full of the blessing of the Lord, possess the west and the south. And of Asher he said, Most blessed of sons be Asher, may he be the favorite of his brothers, and may he dip his foot in oil. Your bars are iron and bronze, and as your days, so is your strength. There is none like God, O Jeshurun, who rides through the heavens to your help, majestic through the skies. He subdues the ancient gods, shatters the forces of old. He drove out the enemy before you, and said, Destroy. So Israel lives in safety, untroubled is Jacob's abode, in a land of grain and wine, where the heavens drop down dew. Happy are you, O Israel, who is like you, a people saved by the Lord, the shield of your help and the sword of your triumph. Your enemies shall come fawning to you, and you shall tread on their backs. So the final words from Moses are a blessing to each of the 12 tribes. Chapter 34. Then Moses went up from the plains of Moab to Mount Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, which is opposite Jericho, and the Lord showed him the whole land, Gilead as far as Dan, all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, all the land of Judah as far as the western sea, the Negeb and the plain, that is, the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees, as far as Zoar. The Lord said to him, This is the land of which I swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, saying, I will give it to your descendants. I have let you see it with your eyes, but you shall not cross over there. Then Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab at the Lord's command. He was buried in a valley in the land of Moab, opposite Beth Peor, but no one knows his burial place to this day. Moses was 120 years old when he died. His sight was unimpaired, and his vigor had not abated. The Israelites wept for Moses in the plains of Moab 30 days. Then the period of mourning for Moses was ended. Verse 9. Joshua son of Nun was full of the spirit of wisdom, because Moses had laid his hands on him, and the Israelites obeyed him, doing as the Lord had commanded Moses. Never since has there arisen a prophet in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. He was unequaled for all the signs and wonders that the Lord sent him to perform in the land of Egypt against Pharaoh and all his servants and his entire land, and for all the mighty deeds and the terrifying displays of power that Moses performed in the sight of all Israel. And that ends the book of Deuteronomy. And tomorrow we will go into the book of Joshua. But the first 5 books of the Bible are the Torah, the history and the law that is given by God of how to live differently than the peoples around them. And we have gotten through the Torah, which would have been studied by young Jewish people literally for millennia. They've practically memorized those passages. Tomorrow we get into Joshua. They go into the promised land. We'll hear about what happens when the Israelites get there. And now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord look at you with favor and give you peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thanks so much for being with us. Like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great day.